What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with Analysis Playground. As you can see, the channel name has changed to Analysis Playground, which has always been a website, but I brought it more to YouTube. But other than that, I'm about to give y'all that rundown. I know y'all been waiting for it, fiending for it, needing it. I want to talk about all the teams, everything that happened in the trades, how they affect the first 2 weeks of the NBA season. I've been watching a lot of basketball. I've been excited about the season, excited about the start of the season. I'm sorry that I didn't bring a What to Expect series, but this could be more of a collage of all the teams for where they were when the season ended, playoffs, and where they are now, with a first couple warm up games, including preseason, included all into one bundle. Obviously, you look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They had a bad preseason, but they had a lot of injuries, and they still do. No Middleton. Um, Guys like Pat Connaughton has been out, but Javon Carter has been a hidden gem. I have liked him ever since he got drafted. I liked him in Memphis. I liked him in Milwaukee last year when he got picked up. Had a great preseason average in double figures on great 50% efficiency, even from the three-point line, shot real well from the three. Has translated that into the season. Drew Holiday has looked like all-star form. Drew Holiday haven't been on an all-star team since 2013, I believe, but has been excellent in defense, has made more threes. Usually he hasn't been a great three-point shooter, but has been pretty productive from there. Has been a bull defensively, being able to guard guys like Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and even other shooting guards in this league. The Bucks at this point are 4-0. It's remarkable for them to come off a championship season 2 years ago and to lose in the second round to my Celtics. But at the end of the day, it's a season by season, playoff by playoff thing, and the Bucks are still one of the best teams in the league, if not one of the top five teams in the NBA. Giannis has been MVP multiple times already. He looks like he's engaged for it again. Defense has been there when it comes to block steals and rebounds. He also has finished well around the rim. Also has shot the three ball decently, and also has just been a hawk defensively when it comes to rebounding, going in transition, coast to coast dunks. I already have breakdowns on Giannis and his finishing, his playmaking. Hasn't really shot the mid range as much because he's just been finishing in that paint. His confidence is through the roof. He had a little injury in Eurobasket, but it hasn't really seemed like it hurt his athleticism. Hasn't really seemed to hurt his confidence. And he's played strong. Brook Lopez has been amazing, shooting the three ball, shooting the mid range, just doing everything they need him to do, like he has been able to do since he's been there. Has been the perfect center alongside Giannis, a guy that can shoot, a guy that can space the floor, a guy that can protect the rim. Has been one of the best rim protecting centers in the league. And you look at the fact that they still missing a 25-5 guy in Chris Middleton, one of their best closers and playmakers. Even though some of their games have been close, they have been pretty dominant for the most part to me. And I watched every single Buzz game up to this point for the most part. And I'm very impressed with them. Atlanta Hawks, they're new. I love the DeJounte Murray trade. Haven't been able to comment on that. It gives them another ball handler, another playmaker, another rebounder, another defender. He's everything you wanted Cam Reddish to be. The difference is he already has done it. Plus, he's an all-star a couple months ago in Cleveland. I was there and I seen them. I love what I seen out of Trae Young, a great playmaker, a guy that sets guys up for easy buckets but can get his own shot. Puts a lot of damage on defenses because he's always moving, always dribbling, always probing like Steve Nash, who was one of his inspirations, looking to score, looking to get the floater off, looking to find holes in the defense with John Collins and Clint Capella in that paint. They bench hasn't been as bad as I thought. They lost a lot of that, but in they're very young. But they have made up for it by riding their starters a lot, and that has been one of their keys why they've been one of the best teams in the league the last couple years. And I do see the Hawks being one of the top six teams potentially in the NBA Eastern Conference, and they have made it to the conference finals. They played the Bucks, came up short in that series like they should have, but they was well above their talent, and they really strive with Nate McMillan as their coach, who's still currently their coach. And I just hope they continue to defend and continue to be blazing offensively. Cleveland has beaten my Celtics, who had got off to a 3-0 start. last night, and I'm impressed with Cleveland. The Donovan Mitchell trade has worked out just as well as I thought. Donovan Mitchell is a guy that can score on about anybody, adds pressure to the defense. He can attack the basket, can really go at you with the 3-point shot. Got a great first step, whether it's dribbling past you or doing a step back or even just pulling up for three if you give him too much space. He gives an aggro player to Darius Garland, who likes to shoot off the ball. He's more of an off the ball type of guy. He can handle, he can do his thing a little bit more since he's recovered from the knee injury that he came in to the NBA with, and he has been more confident. He was an all-star, just like Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen, who was also an all-star. And they also had a guy that won in the rookie contest, Evan Mobley, who was also Rookie of the Month in a contendership for Rookie of the Year. So another great young player that grows with Donovan Mitchell. He's young. He's around the same age as these guys. And these guys was fighting for a playoff spot last year, and now they see themselves 4-1. And their real coach, they felt like they had the right coach. They just had to make a move that made sense. And Donovan Mitchell added that two guard that I thought that they needed to add in the draft, but they add an all-star caliber two guard in Donovan Mitchell, something that I didn't think was possible considering that they still got Garland, they still got Allen, they still got Mobley, and they still got Karis LeVert with Donovan Mitchell still on his roster. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's reality. They have a lot of weapons, a lot of offense. Evan Mobley is a great screen setter, a great facilitator for his size, can finish around the rim, can become a stretch forward, can also shoot the mid-range. They still have Kevin Love and those type of guys on this roster too that can give them spacing at the center/4 position, and Jared Allen can give them the rim protection in the screen setting too, that can get guys like Donovan Mitchell and Garland the space where they can use that to get them the first steps that they need to liberate the defense. And then you look at the fact that it also sets driving lanes for the bigs to be able to hit the mid-range or the floaters or the push shots, which Evan Mobley and Jared Allen can do, and they can also finish in that paint with athleticism, and they are quick enough, long enough to get alley-oops, which push even more pressure on the defense. They are 4-1 at the making of this video. The Boston Celtics has disappointed me the last two games, but I still love what they have done. We have dealt with little minor injuries, but I do want to see us get a rim protecting big. I know Luke Cornet got dunked on last night, but we do need a guy that's a 7-footer that can protect the rim. I love what they did with Marcus Smart and Derek White, having two perimeter guards that can defend and get up in you and can be switchable alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was 6'7" when I seen him get drafted. I don't know if he grew to 6'8", so he might be a legitimate forward. And I know Jason Tatum is 6'10" since he got drafted. So it makes sense to have Jason Tatum as a combo forward that can have the length and the size to play both positions, but can handle the ball and shoot the three while also being a great playmaker now and a better finisher than he was previous season as his body has grown. Jaylen Brown has been a good shot creator now. His jump shot has really improved from three and from mid-range, and he always was athletic and always had a decent handle, but it's more advanced. He has more moves, has more steps to it, and he even added the Euro step, which allows him to get more versatility going to the basket. It makes him less predictable than when he was in California college, when he just drove to the basket and just tried to throw everything up. Now he's more advanced, and now he has more moves. And our bench has been decent. Al Horford has been a solid starter. I love our starting lineup. I love this team. I love the youth. We have a team that can grow. Peyton Pritchard hasn't played that much. Sam Hauser looks like a solid stretch five. You also look at other guys on this roster that I don't want to name because I want to make sure I get to every team. But the bench has been solid for the Celtics. The Knicks, they lose. They go to 3-2. They played a tough team in Milwaukee. But Jalen Brunson has been the addition that we thought. He has been a guy that doesn't whine, doesn't complain. He goes in there. He competes his butt off. He hits his mid-range. He hits his floaters. He gets to the basket. He can use his handle to create his own shot, which helps take pressure off R.J. Barrett, who struggled down the stretch creating shots because he's not a guy that got a lot of handle, a lot of athleticism, not a great shooter. If he can shoot the ball better from mid-range and from three, it'll take more pressure off him scoring the basketball in the paint, which will open it up for him, but he hasn't been able to do that. He's still young, and having a 20-point season ending is a great start for RJ Barrett, which is building upon his success and as a confidence builder for him as he goes into the season, even though he hasn't shot the ball well. You also look at the fact they got Handle Randall. He's using that handle, ain't as dominant, ain't as physical as he once was, become more of a perimeter type of guy the last couple seasons since his All-Star and most improved season. Has downgraded. Mitchell Robinson add a big body in that paint that can protect the rim. Hasn't fouled as much as he usually do. Still foul prone, but has grown and improved since he got his money. He is a guy that you want to see there for a long time because I still see more upside in Mitchell Robinson. Their bench, Quentin Grimes, quickly, and those guys have been solid, not great or amazing, but when you look at the addition of Jalen Brunson, it puts them in playing territory. You look at the Wizards, they also got off to a great start last year, but ultimately missed the play-in tournament to me in the playoffs because their depth. They gave up a lot of that, but I feel like they got a lot of it back now when it comes to the starting lineup and having the bench because they made some more acquisitions. Bradley Beal hasn't been that dominant force when he was a 30-point scorer a couple years ago. You look at their point guard situation, still a little sketchy, but not terrible. Kristaps is still injury prone. Hopefully he has a better year this year. Solid finisher in the paint with the alley oops, but can't really do much outside of that besides hit a mid range and a fadeaway or a three. Hopefully, he's more assertive offensively. Kyle Kuzma has been that guy offensively. He always been a guy that took a lot of shots and wasn't afraid to do it. That's what they need him to do in Washington, and he has been a great stretch forward and a great offensive pop for them. This team is still a middling team. I don't know if they're going to be a great offensive team or a great defensive team or a mediocre team because they're not great at either one, or they might be a middling team that put them in playing territory just because of that. The Bulls, I have them in the top 6 this year just because the Zach LaVine injury came out of nowhere. Now, since he's been back, they lost another game. They're 3-3. DeMar DeRozan scored 20,000 points. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan for crossing that threshold. Has been unstoppable this season, but we still have to see them get back to that defensive stance that they started doing last year. DeSumo has been great with the hands, getting steals. Him and Caruso are a great tandem. I would like to see them start Caruso with DeSumo and just play him more minutes just so they can have more interceptions with steals and interception to get them more easier baskets and help them pile up that lead so they don't have to worry about using DeMar so much and Zach LaVine so much offensively. Vucevic has been a big body in that paint. DeSumo and guys like Patrick Williams don't hurt him as much in the paint because it's hard to get by him sometimes, and they are still prone, especially like I said, they put Caruso in that starting lineup. It can really help deflect a lot of that interior weakness that Vucevic has as he's slow-footed, but he is a guy that can rebound and score in that paint. Good mid-range shooter, good post-up guy, has been solid, not as dominant offensively, but he is getting older. You don't want them to ride DeMar as much as they've been doing as he gets older because you want him to be able to be as productive as he can be throughout this contract. You don't want him to be injured, especially because he is a big part of what this team is offensively already in these first 2 seasons already. But I already look at the fact that Zach LaVine has been pretty solid since he's come back. I still want to see him improve his playmaking. I still want to see him improve his court vision as a guy that can be multi-dynamic offensively besides just a shooter that can get to the basket. It's just an improvement. I got a breakdown on him too already on the channel. Fred VanVleet and these Raptors, they still holding in there. Siakam and this team has been pretty decent. This is a middling team. Nick Nurse is going to coach them. He's going to coach circles around certain coaches. He's going to keep them in games. He's going to keep them accountable. He's going to push them as far as he can. This team isn't the greatest team, isn't the best team, doesn't have the greatest talent, but Gary Trent Jr. is a solid guard. Scotty Barnes is a solid forward, same with OG Anunoby. They have a solid bench, not great or crazy. This is a team that if they defend and score well, they'll be in a 6, 7, 8 spot like they was last year, fighting for a playoff spot. Still looking for that superstar. They have enough talent to acquire a superstar. Will they want to play in Toronto? Will they want to stay in Toronto? That's going to be the question, as we've seen most of them left, like Vince Carter and guys like DeMar DeRozan who wanted to stay but ended up getting traded, and Kawhi Leonard left the first chance he got. That's the only question that I have for them. They show that they can accumulate talent. They show that they have guys that's committed to winning and an organization that's committed to winning. They just need a superstar that's committed to staying. And that's the only question mark I have for them in their future in this season, as some might become available during the trade deadline and some are already in question now. We'll just see if the Raptors can get in that sweepstakes, as they do have the talent to acquire one. The Charlotte Hornets still don't have LaMelo Ball. They just got to hold tight until their best player come back. Gordon Hayward been solid. You look at the bench, you look at Terry Rozier, they're all just competing, all just fighting, doing the best they can to hang tight to their best playmaker and scorer comes back. LaMelo Ball was an all-star last year, for people that don't know. They're going to defend, they're going to scrap, they're going to play with high energy and go crazy off the crowd, and they're going to make tough, crazy shots too. But this team has been a middle of the pack team, borderline playing team, with LaMelo Ball healthy. So we'll see what they do when he comes back. And I do like what I've seen out of James Bouknight so far, a guy that can really score. We'll see if he can take his offense to a better level as a starter potentially this season. The Sixers have been one of the more disappointing teams, but they picked up a win, pushing a record of 2-4, putting them in a conversation for them to be able to move up the ladder, to be back in the playoff picture. But his team is a nonchalant team. They don't seem like they're stressing. They seem like a veteran team. They've been through bad seasons. They've been through bad starts before, and they can write it easily. James Harden looked like the old James Harden, getting 30 basically every game, setting guys up for easy points. Still ball hogging a little bit too much. You would like to see Maxey do what he did last night and get buckets, 44 points, 40 plus points, and being able to push the tempo, being able to get the layups and the dunks, and pushing the pressure to make it easier for Embiid to get layups and dunks and 3-point shots. Same with Harden and Big Bias. You want to see Thibault get some more minutes, as he's their best defender. I do want to see if they're going to try to trade for a guy like Damian Lillard, just to add more shooting, to add another weapon alongside Harden and Embiid, because I think the duo works. They just need another fire starter to really set this team into championship territory. But other than that, they have the pieces to be a threat like they was last year. If Harden continue to play like this and then Embiid picks it up to the scoring champion level that he was last year, and him and Harden can be that 1-2 punch that we've seen glimpses of in the playoffs. It wasn't really permanent, but they had games against the Raptors where it looked like this offense could really fire on all cylinders, but they wasn't able to fully put it together. Now they had preseason, training camp, and some games last year to figure it out. You would think that they would have got off to a better start, but we'll see what they do because it's an 82-game season. Indiana Pacers, the Miami Heat, and the Brooklyn Nets are all one of those teams where you never really know. The Pacers are in conversation to fire sell everything that's valuable, to get more picks or to get another young prospect to put alongside Tyrese Halliburton. So I don't really expect much out of them, but they're going to compete. They're going to try to do what they can to win games. They're an NBA team. Worst case scenario, they get a top 5 pick, which might not be that great in this draft, but it puts you in the conversation with Victor Wembanyama, and that's a great thing. The Heat have got off to a bad start, but not as terrible. They're one game away from being back in the playoff picture. Jimmy Butler has been playing without Duncan Robinson. Kyle Lowry has been decent, not great or amazing defensively or offensively. Duncan Robinson has missed games. Tyler Hero has been electric, still a little streaky, but he's a starter. He should start. Him and Duncan Robinson should both start now for the power creep. I feel like the NBA has gotten better. They have caught up to the Heat. Jimmy Butler look a little old and a little wore down, maybe because he has to play a lot of minutes and do a lot. Maybe starting Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo may not be the worst situation for the Heat, as it puts more space around Butler so he don't have to work as hard for buckets, and it gives him more weapons that he can pass to. We know Jimmy Butler is a triple-double waiting to happen. He likes to get guys involved. He's an unselfish superstar, and he's a guy that likes to get easy opportunities for his teammates rather than being a selfish ball hog, ball-dominant player. I think that plays to his strengths, having more spacing, and it plays to Bam's strength, who's not the greatest finisher and not the greatest shooter. Having him have guys he can set screens for and get those lanes and get those guys open shots, make it easier for Bam. I think Eric Spoelstra is just waiting for Duncan Robinson to be healthy so they can run those lineups like they did in the finals. They just got to make their shots on the perimeter. Same with Jimmy Butler, got to make a couple. Bam just got to make some mid-ranges, some set ones. He's going to be open like he's been all season. He just got to practice those and knock those down, and that can help his free throw percentage get back to around that 80% clip. The Brooklyn Nets, I thought they'd get off to a bad start. They had a tough schedule, and it really has shown on them. But they're not the team that you should really worry about. They're going to have an easier schedule. They're going to be able to win some games in the future. I don't love this team. They're very nonchalant. It seems like they're not really caring and not really hard on each other when it comes to urgency and wanting to win. It seems like they're a team that really pace themselves. They just go out there and compete, get their numbers. They're going to be all-stars just based off numbers. And it seems like they're going to be a team that they're going to be happy being a 6th, 7th, or 8th team in the East, getting put out in the first or second round like they've been, and they're going to be cool with it. Kyrie and KD already went at each other next, and they don't want to play with each other. Kyrie didn't even want to sign the extension, saying that he'd rather be gone and be a free agent and deserve his options in free agency. And his 1-4 start, they haven't been hard on Ben Simmons, which I think is fair because he missed the whole season. He has been a great playmaker for them, getting about 7+ assists. He hasn't been great offensively or great defensively yet, but he missed an entire year playing basketball and has looked like a decent starter. But to me, this team is missing some more force, some more fight, some more umph. They just don't have the care and the passion that's needed to be a championship team. When you look at Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Nicholas Claxton, and you look at some other weapons on this bench, you think that they're going to be one of the best teams like Patty Mills and these guys, and they just don't have the thump. It seems like they got to get hit in the head or they got to get embarrassed for them to wake up, or they just going to coast past this season, be a borderline playoff team that can get hot enough to make the playoffs, and they're just going to be cool with getting put out in the first round or the second round again, depending on the matchup and depending on injuries. And they're going to be cool with it. And the 1-4 start, you don't see nobody mad or angry. If anything, they just cool with the start, and we'll see what they do as the season continues. The Pistons, I expect them to be bad. Ivy hasn't been terrible. He's still what they needed to me. He's a guy that can handle the ball. He can get out in transition. Cade is a little slower athletically, so having a guy like Jaden Ivey that can really push the tempo, can really get easy buckets in transition is something that they needed, and I feel like he has excelled in that. I feel like he also has been a guy that's not a great playmaker, and having a guy like Cade who doesn't mind being unselfish and mind setting guys up really helps take the pressure off Jaden Ivey mistake making habits and being a little greedy because they have to share the ball, and I think that helps balance out Jaden Ivey mistakes and it allows Cade to have some time off the ball even in transition where he don't have to make every single decision like he had to do last year. And I like their spacing. I feel like they spacing to improve with Bogdanovich. I feel like that trade made more sense than having Jeremy Grant because Bogdanovich gives them another shooter alongside Sadiq Bey. I do like Bagley. I feel like I liked him a lot more in preseason than I liked him in the season. He needs to post a little bit more, needs to get that elbow jumper going, needs to get him a right and a left hook like he did in high school and a little push shot like he had in high school. He should be an 18-8 or 18-10 guy in Detroit because who's going to score the ball outside of Cade and Ivy and Bogdanovich? He should be more assertive the entire season, and they traded for him because they knew he had upside to be a difference maker offensively and give them a post threat that he still don't really have. And Big Bagley should be able to do that, especially in the NBA. And he just haven't got his head straight, he hasn't gotten his mind right. He wanted out of Sacramento, now he got it done, but he hasn't been able to put it all together. And the center position, I do like what I see out of Jalen. Well, not Jalen Duran, but he needs to get his body right. He needs to get his conditioning right. He came out of college. He's not expected to play big minutes because of that. He still needs to learn his timing, the physicality, the conditioning. All has to come together for the NBA level, and I understand why he's struggling a little bit because he is a rookie. Rookie growing pains is how it's supposed to go, but this is a young team. They're supposed to be bad, so it makes sense. Hopefully they can learn from it and grow together within 2 years. But I do like Jalen Duren. And the Magic, I expected them to be bad. Franz Wagner has been getting buckets. Paolo Banchero was the #1 pick. I liked him in the draft. I just felt like he wasn't going to translate to being a great scorer. He's a guy that's going to put up numbers. They have a lot of guys that shy to get up shots. Jalen Suggs was one of their picks last year with Franz. They both fit Paulo, because Paulo is a guy that's not going to be afraid. He's trigger happy. He wants to get buckets. He wants the attention. He wants the shots. He showed that in high school. He showed that in college. It made sense for them to go with him #1 because they had Mohamed Bamba and they had Mortice Wagner too at the center position. They didn't need another big. They needed somebody that can get shots up and really force the tempo and really force and put pressure on the defense to make decisions. And Paulo has been a solid playmaker and a solid scorer on every level. He's been solid, 46% from the field, been terrible from the 3-point line, but I expect that. Never been a great 3-point shooter, always been solid. You just want to know, what's his peak? Is his peak a 20-point scorer? Can he get better defensively? Can he get better from three? Can he get better as a playmaker? Or is he just a finished product that just fits what Orlando needs him to do, and then everybody can catch up to where he's at and they can grow? I think Jalen Suggs can still get better defensively, especially coming out of Gonzaga. I think he can become a better playmaker and a better scorer from mid-range and three. I think Franz can be the perfect guy that can play the defense and play off the ball and create for a little bit to take pressure off Suggs and Paulo. And I think Mohamed Bamba is still a project, but he is a guy that got potential to be a floor spacer for those guys and protect the rim. And then you have Mortice that can do the same. He's just more physical, but less of a rim protector. And then you have guys on this bench that's still growing, still have some veterans that can teach these guys how to shoot, how to learn and condition their body and get them prepared for a long journey. And, the NBA, and their future is bright. I love how this team is building. I love all the picks that they made. And I like seeing Banchero really just be himself, do his thing, and play his game. And even though they're not winning games, it's because they're young. They make a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of defensive lapses, and they just got to have time gelling. All these guys played with a certain group of guys for a long period of time. Now they playing with each other for the first. And it takes time to gel, especially when you add a piece like Paulo, which adds a brash nature to a team that really didn't have it. They had a lot of passive aggressive players, and now they have somebody that's assertive in an aggressive way, and they'll balance out eventually because they'll feed off his energy, and it'll make them a better team offensively. And then you just have to let them grow and get coached right defensively for them to go in that direction. But it is a good young team to look out for. Portland 5-1. I know that Dame is going to miss the next couple games, but I like what I've seen out of Dame and the Blazers. They've been scorching offensively. Chauncey finally got the group of guys that he wanted around Dame. I still don't know if it's going to last. It's just a hot start. They played against some decent teams, nothing crazy, nothing elite really. But for a 5-1 start, Simons has been hot. Dame has been hot. We'll see if they can keep it up for the entire season, and we'll see if Dame can get back to healthy Dame. As you get older, the nagging small injuries get you, and he said he would have played if it was a playoff game, but by it being a regular season game, he didn't really take it that serious. It just shows you his approach. Usually Dame would have warrior through it, but instead he sat it out for a couple games. We'll see what happens with that. But they still do have Gary Payton, who they picked up in the offseason, who is a solid defender and a decent offensive player. So they're not going to lose a lot, defensively, but they're going to lose a lot offensively, losing Dame. But this team has been solid. Grant has been a solid addition, another defensive wing that they needed since they lost Covington. A better defender to me than Covington, a better overall player than Covington was when he was with the Blazers. But Simons is a younger, more athletic, more explosive offensive player than CJ is. Coming off last season, we'll see if he can put it together in a better way and build upon what he did last season and bring it into this season like he has so far. The Phoenix Suns, they got Chris Paul, they got Devin Booker, they got Mikal Bridges, they got Cam Johnson, who finally gets a bigger role, and they got DeAndre Ayton. I like that starting lineup. I always like Cam Johnson. I feel like he always had to sacrifice because he was on the championship team. Now he gets more of the play, more of the minutes. I expect more of the same for this team. They're 4-1. They won their last three, and I do expect them to be within the top 5 teams in the league, just like they always is. As long as everybody's healthy, even if they get small injuries, which I expect them to get throughout the season, it's a long 82-game season, they will be within the top 3 of the Western Conference, as they always is. No crazy big acquisitions for them. Just steadying the ship, making sure everybody on the same page, and having Devin Booker and Aiden grow and Mikal Bridges grow their roles is natural in the growth process and the pecking order process. And Chris Paul just slides down and keeps everybody in order, keeps everybody mind focused on the task of winning the championship, the first one in Phoenix history, and just making sure everybody's in their spots, everybody's held accountable, everybody's responsible for their lapses, and they're just being an assistant coach without being an assistant coach, but just doing it on the floor and doing it by example, and just being there when they need to get the picking up and needing when they need them to close games. They know they got Chris Paul to do that. He did it his whole career, even in college and high school. So I expect him to continue to do that now. Just like I said last year, and he did it in the playoffs, and he did it during the regular season too. And I'm expecting another All-Star season for Chris Paul, and I'm expecting Mikal Bridges probably to be my Defensive Player of the Year now that Ben Simmons is injured. And you look at the fact that Gobert is going to clean up a lot for Minnesota. Maybe he takes a lot of injury. I mean, not injury. He might get a little nagging injury, but he probably takes a lot of energy cleaning up after Towns like he's been. And then he got a rebound and still try to score. And he's been a big beast. So I'll get to that later. Memphis Grizzlies has been fantastic. Ja Morant has been the raging bull, attacking the rim, hitting his threes, playing with defenders. His confidence level is at an all-time high. His swagger and bravado is amazing. He has always had it, but the game is just catching up to it. He's been better than he's been in college. He's been better than last year so far this season, and we'll see. He got off to a hot start last year, then cooled off as the season went on. We'll see with more floor spacing around him this year. We'll see what happens. Remember, Zaire Williams hasn't played yet. He's more of a combo type of forward. Can handle, can play make, can score. Not a floor 3-and-D guy like they have started now. And he also isn't like a Desmond Bane. But Bane has been fantastic. Had a terrible game, but